Hello and welcome again to the video for the Goulburn to Braidwood ride. I'm on the Nerriga road still, heading towards the village of Nerriga. Not going to get there with this clip. In fact, I'm not going to get there at all. This is the final clip in the Goulburn to Braidwood trip, and although I'm not going to get to Nerriga and I'm not going to get back to Goulburn either, it's the last clip in the ride. I should explain at this point the reason for that. I am the world's worst cameraman. One of my other videos, motorcycle videos, I had 3 goes at doing it before I could get it correct, before I could record it, because the first time something went wrong with the camera. The second time the card in the camera, I forgot to put the card in the camera, and so by the third time I got it right. I was out running recently and I had my camera on a chest harness, and I turned it on and was giving commentary while I was running and so on, and thought I was doing a great job, only to find out that I had not either pressed the record button or hadn't pressed it hard enough, because nothing was recorded. So by way of explanation as to why this is the last video, about 7 minutes into this video, I would be turning on to the road back to Goulburn, and at that point I'd been riding to close to 2 hours. Now the battery in this camera has a life of about 2 hours, and I had therefore been watching the clock and thinking, when I made this turn off, I was getting close to the 2 hour mark, and it would be a good time soon to pull in and change cameras. So I did that. I had a second camera which has a battery life of an hour, and that would have given me enough time to get back to Goulburn and record the final legs of the trip. I put the new camera on, pressed all the buttons and everything, and there was a warning light, a message came on the screen, but the font was too small for me to read it. Anyhow, after fiddling around a couple of times with it, I gave up in despair and just continued riding home from that point. And I discovered the problem when I got home. The problem was that I had forgotten to erase the last lot of footage from the memory card in that camera, so obviously it couldn't record anymore. Now since then, Goulburn and all of New South Wales, all of New South Wales has gone into a lockdown, and as I understand it, I'm allowed to go out as often as I want and exercise as often as I want for as long as I want, but I'm not supposed to leave my local government area, and as I understand it, I am not supposed to travel more than 5 kilometres from my home. Now that last one I'm not 100% sure about, but I'm erring on the side of caution and not going more than that distance from my home, so I'm not able to go out to the point where I was at that point when I changed cameras and begin the filming all over again. However, all of that said, in one of my earlier videos, which I think I called the Country Ride, I started out in Goulburn and rode out on the Windellama Road until I came to Sandy Point Road, which took me then down to Nerriga. So if you were to find that video on my YouTube channel and look at it, you would get a sense of what the ride, at least from Windellama or from Sandy Point Road back to Goulburn, was like. This part of the ride, once I turned onto the road back to Goulburn, would take me over a couple of rivers, one of which was the Shoalhaven River at O'Allen Ford, where is a pretty good bridge, but obviously you're not going to be able to see all that. So okay, we're on the Nerriga Road at the moment, and if you were to stop the video at any stage and have a look at the roadside, you'll see the road. As I've said many times now, the condition varies a bit. Sometimes it's in really good condition. A couple of places look like there's been some new road works as part of the surfacing, and there's even a new bridge being built at one point. Other points it's not so good. You'll also notice, as I mentioned in the last video, there had been evidence of a fire through here by the regrowth on the trees on the side of the road. This is what I would call open woodland, in that there's selections of, not selections, but lines of trees and so on down the side of the road, but a bit further in the land has been cleared and there's some agricultural land and some Crown land. And it's a pretty good ride, and when the road is finished and all of the sealing has been done and all the other roadworks have been done, I'd recommend that if you were looking for a place to ride, it would be a good trip to take. So you could go out from Goulburn through Nerriga to Braidwood, take the turn off that way as I did, or you could go out of Goulburn towards Windellama, and then when you got to the intersection of Sandy Point Road, instead of turning down towards Nerriga, continue straight ahead, and you would eventually come to the intersection of this road and the road I'm going to turn on to, which would then take you to Nerriga. As I said, at Nerriga there's I mentioned this in the last video, there's a village there, but in reality there's a pub and a couple of an old church, and there seem to be some houses there. Not really sure why it's there, because there's no shops or anything, so it's not like a service centre for a small community. In other words, if you needed groceries or you needed anything, you'd have to drive into Braidwood. It would make more sense to go to Braidwood than it would to go to Nerriga. And I guess the people who live there may alternate between the two. I don't really know. All right, well, let's just enjoy the ride for a while and enjoy the scenery for a while. And we'll be coming up to that turn-off in about a little less than a minute. There are no signs really indicating it until you come upon it. So I'm slowing down and changing gear, and I'm turning left down this road here. I'm sorry I can't remember the name of the road, and I can't read the sign that's on the right hand side there. But now I'm heading, my direction would be west back towards Goulburn. Now coming up in a little, just about now, you'll see, as well as my finger over the screen there, you would have seen a yellow sign on the side of the road which said, damaged pavement, drive carefully. Now, I was quite pleased and grateful to see that sign, because at least it gave me a warning that some parts of the road were not in good condition and that I should slow down. And I think there was even a speed sign that said 80 kilometres along here. So there were certainly warnings there to tell you that this section of the road is not in great condition, and it's not a road you can get on and ride like the clappers or ride at 100 kilometres an hour on. And that brings me back to the point again of wondering why there was no sign, at least advising that parts of the previous road were unsurfaced or unsuitable for motorcycles. I know I've harped on about it in the last 3 videos, but it's an important point. So we're going along here. We're about 2 minutes till the end of the video. Here the road isn't as good as sections of the Nerriga road. You can see it's reasonably well made though. There's markings down the middle to indicate it's not safe to overtake at the moment. The shoulders are a bit dodgy. Some places they're okay, other places the edges are uneven and all that sort of thing. It's obviously not a road that is used a lot. Making that assumption on the fact that not a lot of maintenance work or money is spent on it. And I don't recall seeing more than about 1 car in the time I was riding on here. Well, this section here is pretty good, having said that. Just shortly I'm going to be coming up to the point where I pull in and decide to change cameras. And as I said, after putting on the new camera, realising it wasn't going to work for some reason, and then not realising until I got back to Goulburn to my house that I started playing around with the memory cards, that the card in the second camera was full. I don't carry any spares. You'd think one in each camera would be sufficient, and the person who operates the cameras ought to delete all the footage at the end of each ride when they've uploaded the computer, and then so it's ready for the next use. I will say to you, thank you very much if you've been watching up to this point. I'm sorry that you didn't get to see the rest of the trip back to Goulburn. As I said, when things improve and the situation changes, I may be able to go out here and ride again and complete the journey, and you'll be able to see the rest of the trip. So I'm just pulling in here, about to change camera, so I'll say thank you for watching, and talk to you when I'm doing some more motorcycle videoing. Thank you, and have a good day.